On everyone, welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, that means you're new. I'm Mark. What's good with y'all? Go check out my other videos. Check them out. Check them out. So before you do that, though, before you check out my other videos, I think this is one that we all need to say. This is a very important topic, at least. So you guys read the thumbnail. You read the title, saw the thumbnail. Sorry, as you can imagine, it's been one of those fucking days. But whatever. Let's get right into it. So the ATF made a really big whoopsie, guys. They messed up really bad. And I'm aware that I might be a little late to talking about it. You know, a couple of reasons why is because I wanted to see how this would pan out a bit further on. You know, I didn't want to speak on it immediately without having a lot of information. So for starters, the individual we're speaking about, I believe his name is Brian Malinowski. It's something along those lines. I apologize if I, butchered the name. We'll call him Brian, though. We're going to call him Brian because I'm not going to keep risking butchering that last name. My last name gets butchered enough, so I get it. But let's get right into it. So Brian was an airport worker, essentially. I don't remember exactly what position he was. I know I'm not the best at giving out exact details. However, I don't believe his profession really mattered, in my opinion, in this case. Because no matter what happened, and no matter what he did for a living, this is complete government overreach. This is complete tyranny just on the ATF's end. So let's get right into it. Brian, I guess as we'll call it a side quest, if you will, a hobby, whatever you want to call it. A little gig on the side, a little side job, whatever. I like to make jokes and call it a side quest. But what he was doing essentially was he was selling he was selling firearms and private transfers, which is 100% legal. Almost said prior arms. Oh God. But he was selling firearms and private transfers, which is 100% legal. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if you guys are aware about how selling something works, right? So we'll take my Ruger LCP, for example, right? If I wanted to sell this and let's say I knew the person was either extremely desperate for a firearm, they for some reason felt they needed one immediately, or they don't know much about firearms, what's going to happen? The person who's selling it is going to try to just charge a tiny bit more. They want to get at least their money back, if not a little profit, right? That's often how, something works like that. I understand, for a majority of you guys, let's say I wanted to sell you guys my Ruger LCP right here, you guys probably wouldn't pay more than $200, which is completely fair. That's understandable. If I was selling it, I think $200 might be a fair price, but I'm not. So let's get that out of the way. YouTube, I am not selling any firearms. Guys, I am not selling any. Do I want to? No. All right. Now, with that being said, let's get back onto the topic. You might want to try to make a tiny bit of profit off some of the guns that you've bought. Why? Because you've spent a lot of money in ammo on them. The guns themselves cost money, the FFL transfer fees, plus unconstitutional tax itself. There's a lot of reasons why you might want to try to get a tiny bit of a profit back. That doesn't make you a bad person necessarily. That just means that you would like to get some of your money back. That's perfectly fine. Now, if you can't sell it, that's whatever. A lot of people who, tend to overcharge, they either can get it sold really quickly or will never get it sold. That's just how it works. But long story short is that they were upset that he, I guess, was selling firearms for a possible profit. I have not seen any 100% proof that he was getting legitimate profit off of this, that he was profiting from this. For all we know, he could have bought, we'll take my Ruger LCP, for example. He could have bought a Ruger LCP, for $300 and then sold it for $150. Wouldn't have made a profit. But from what I'm gathering here, the information I've gathered, they were upset that he was selling firearms for a possible profit without an FFL license. So keep in mind, guys, you do not have to be an FFL dealer for private transfers. Private transfers are 100% legal. They tried arguing, oh, well, he didn't run a background check. You don't have to run a background check for private transfers. If any one of y'all who has ever been a part of a private transfer knows that legally speaking, you do not have to run a background check by any standard. All the person who is selling the gun has to do is ask, hey, are you prohibited from owning any firearms? The person who's buying it legitimately could lie, and it wouldn't be on the end of the person who's selling it. Why? Because the person who is selling it also has the right to be able to take what the person they're selling it to says at face value. None of that is illegal. None of that at all. Did they find firearms that Brian sold, in the hands of felons? Not from what we've gathered. Nothing that I have read up on has said anything along the lines of, oh yeah, these guns that were originally traced back to Brian here were found in the hands of these criminals who shot at these people or anything along those lines. We found none of that. So, I'm sure you guys are wondering, where is this going if you guys don't already know the situation. But they decided they're going to do a raid on Brian's house. And anybody who knows how the ATF does raids know that it never ends well. Waco, Ruby Ridge. Well, Ruby Ridge was more the FBI, but long story short, regardless, whenever a federal government agency is trying to do any form of raid, it never ends good. It never ends well for anyone at all. So they raided Brian's house in the middle of the night. And I'm sure you guys are wondering, why do you keep calling him by his first name? I don't want to keep messing up his last name. I do not know this dude by any standard. May he rest in peace. He did nothing wrong. He did not deserve this. But I do not know this dude by any standard. So let me preface that. I will keep referring to him by his first name only because it's easier to pronounce. So, excuse me. They did a raid on Brian's house in the middle of the night. I don't remember exactly, a time frame that they did it. But it was definitely at nighttime. One of the ways I can tell is due to the fact that I have a Ring camera myself. So I know how Ring cameras are when it hits nighttime. They don't keep the color in the camera when it's nighttime. It'll be black and white. It just helps you see a tiny bit better, I guess. So regardless, my whole point is simply, you see in Brian's Ring camera a riot shield for maybe not even a couple of seconds. I can't even argue for a full second. That says police. Nothing else says any form of excuse me. Excuse me. Sorry for y'all who had to hear that. Nothing else that nothing else they had indicated that they were law enforcement. They weren't indicating they were law enforcement. This was a no-knock raid, basically. They kicked this man's door in, from what I'm gathering. And keep in mind, all they could have, what they could have done instead of doing all this shit, right, was call him, hey, we're with the ATF, we have your house surrounded, please don't do anything dumb, just come outside, we want to talk to you real quick. He probably would have came out. This was in the middle of the night. Chances are this man was sleeping. They kicked his fucking door in and he thought somebody broke into his home and that him and his family were in danger. The long story short, really, just like what happened with Waco, just like what happened at Ruby Ridge, there was a civilian casualty. It's ridiculous. Brian got killed by the ATF because they refused to do their job correctly. The truth of the matter is, the ATF is a law enforcement agency. They don't get to make up rules. They've been sitting here acting like they are the ones who are in control of all these laws and all these rules that are put into effect, and we keep allowing them to. But the truth of the matter is, all these motherfuckers all these people are, is they're dog killers, they're baby killers, they're just killers that are being paid by the rest of the federal government to keep killing people and infringing on our constitutional rights. The truth of the matter is, ATF is a disease to America. The truth of the matter is that if they had even focused a tenth of the energy that they're focusing on firearms to any of the other two letters, the world would probably be a lot better place. The ATF needs to be held accountable. All those agents who participated in that raid need to be imprisoned. This was an unlawful raid that was committed by the ATF for an unlawful reason when there was no laws broken. There were no laws that were broken that required the raid. They just did the raid because they didn't like that he was selling guns for a possible profit. Now, keep in mind, we have no way of even knowing if he did make any profit off of it because we don't have access to his financial records, which, of course, isn't our business to have anyways. Just like if it's not our business, why the fuck is it the government's business? You tell me that. If we the people can't know what's going on, why the fuck should the government? The ATF really fucked up in this case. They really messed up. An innocent man died all because they had such an ego trip about the fact that, oh yeah, this guy doesn't have an FFL. Well, he doesn't need one for private transfers. You know what? He's testing us. We're going to go get him. An innocent man died all because the ATF had their big power trip, their little ego trip that they always have. We need to disband the ATF. We need to just forget about defunding them. Forget about any of that. We need to just disband the ATF as a whole. Get rid of the entire organization. That should no longer be a federal organization. ATF has not done any good. It's real irritating for me because this isn't the first time the ATF has done something like this. As I mentioned before, there's Waco. Waco was a huge, huge deal. Now, here's what I'll say. I'm in no way, for example, with David Koresh, in Waco, I am in no way, shape, or form advocating for some of the things that he was doing. If some of the things that, that the ATF was saying is correct, for example, that he was having sex with the children in his compound, which is absolutely horrible and disgusting, then yeah, I'm not saying don't arrest him. What I'm saying is don't burn the fucking building down where a bunch of kids are inside. You see what I mean here? And it seems in almost a majority, if not all of these raids, they decided, hey, we're going to do things our way. And it has always ended up in innocent people being killed. It has always ended up that way. It has never ended up with, oh yeah, we saved some people's lives. It has never ended that way. And honestly, it needs to end. We as the people need to come together and we need to hold the ATF accountable. We need to disband the ATF. We need to get... Here's my question, right? We disband the ATF, right? I know what's going to happen if we disband the ATF. It's not going to 100% fix everything. It's going to fix a lot of government overreach when it comes to our Second Amendment rights. But I know what's going to happen. That new office that Kamala Harris now runs, the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention or whatever, is going to sit there and try doing the same fucking shit as the ATF. When the truth of the matter is, we need to hold all of these government organizations accountable. ATF, FBI, CIA, every single one, the Department of Justice, the Department of Defense. Like, we need to hold all of them accountable and make them understand this is our Second Amendment right. This is what we have to keep you in check. You need to back the fuck off because now we need to keep you in check. You have shown that you were trying to take rights away from people, and it has ended up in innocent people being killed due to the government's hands. Something needs to be fixed. The ATF needs to be held accountable. With that being said, I'm not going to sit here and keep going in circles. I know this is a rather serious video. I normally make jokes and try to lighten things up in my video, but this is a very serious topic. The ATF really fucked up bad this time, and we need to hold them accountable. With that being said, y'all make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell. When you hit that bell, hit all. And because you agree with me, the ATF went way over the line this time. There is no other way to say it than they fucked up. They did the big oopsie. They spilled the beans. However you want to fucking say it. If you agree with me, make sure to check out all of my other videos. Y'all make sure to stay legal, stay safe, stay dangerous. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.